I don't know who needs to hear this, but being busy and being intentional does not mean the same thing. I used to think that the fuller my schedule was, the more successful I was becoming. But over time, I realized that something wasn't adding up. I was constantly in a hurry, constantly rushing from one appointment to the other, but I wasn't getting closer to the life that I wanted. My days were full, but I felt empty. For a very, very long time, I wore my business as a badge of honor, always rushing to say yes so that my schedule could be packed. By the end of the day, I was just left feeling empty. If your calendar is full but your heart feels cluttered, then this video is for you. Many people are living life by default, where they are always reacting to whatever comes up during the day. In this video, I'm going to show you how to own your time rather than allowing your time own you. Hello, my name is Pearl, and welcome to Intentional Living. I'm going to start this video by talking about why I believe being intentional with your time matters. Everyone, Dangote, Burna Boy, Whiskey, Pearl Security Man, everyone is given the same 24 hours. So the difference between someone being anchored in their life and another person who is constantly feeling like they are stretched thin isn't because they get different hours of the day, but because one of them has intention. And I truly believe that how we spend our day to day is a huge determinant of how our lives turn out. And honestly, if we do not choose how we spend our time, something else will. That thing could be your job. That thing could be an algorithm on a social media app, or that thing could be other people's expectations. The main point is if you don't choose how your time is being spent and managed, something else will. I'm going to sound like a broken record because of how many times I've said this, but yes, time is currency. And every yes you say to something is a transaction. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So the question becomes, what are you saying yes to? I had to ask myself that question a couple of years ago, and that was when I realized that I was pouring myself into things that felt good on paper but didn't necessarily feel right in my spirit. I was reacting to my life, I wasn't living it. Being intentional with your time does not mean filling up your calendar with tasks that make you feel productive or busy. It means creating time for the things that matter to you and to your future goals. I realized at some point that I was exhausted every single day, but I wasn't fulfilled. That was when I realized that I had to use my time as a tool to reflect the life that I want to build. For example, my mornings look like this. From 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., I'll be groggy, be in bed, rolling from one part of my bed to the other. And by 8 a.m., I'll drag myself out of bed after doom scrolling on Instagram for almost 2 hours to the bathroom to start my day. Now, my mornings start with silence, they start with prayer, and they start with planning. Same 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., different energy. And that's why I'm making this video today. I don't want you to sit down every Sunday and think to yourself, where did the week go? That's what people who aren't making any progress towards their dreams say, because time flies by and they've achieved nothing, even if they felt like they were busy all those days of the week. Now, the next thing I'm going to do in this video is lay some foundations of what using your time intentionally looks like. Before you do anything else, you have to be clear on what matters to you. What kind of a life are you trying to build? Your time should mirror your values, not your fears or the things around you that are creating pressure. You can't even start being intentional with your time until you've done this. So if you're watching this video now, I want you to do me a favor and just pause it for a minute and think to yourself, what matters to me? What kind of life am I building? Is it making sure that my health is in check? Is it creating and maintaining better relationships? Is it my fitness? Is it my spirituality? Just a maximum of three things. Three things that would directly improve your all round wellness right now in the season you currently are. Write those three things down. Once I got clear on my three things, every other thing had to come around that. The next thing that you do after laying the foundation of what matters to you is to build structure. Now, I'm not saying that every single minute or every single hour of your day is allocated to something. It's about controlling your time in a way that your priorities have room to breathe. So that may look like when you're planning your week or when you're planning the day, making time to ensure that you're taking, even if it's just tiny steps towards the goal that you have set for yourself. You have to think of what matters to you and then time block as a form of protection for those things. So, if you remember in my last video when I was speaking about rest, I intentionally dedicate time every single day to rest and I don't let anything disturb that time. That's what it means to make your time work for you, where you're protecting your priorities by time blocking activities that take you further to the goal that you've set for yourself. So I started blocking out time for journaling. I started blocking out time for rest. I started blocking out time for creative work. And that gentle structure, that gentle rebellion gave me the permission that I needed to honor my priorities. You don't need a perfect system. You just need your time to reflect your values. The third foundation that you would lay to use your time more intentionally is making time a choice and not a reaction. This one thing changed everything for me. If your day starts with reaction, you wake up in the morning, you're responding to emails, you're responding to texts. What you're doing is allowing external pressures choose your focus. What I'm suggesting instead is to choose your focus yourself. If you're waking up and reacting to all of these things, you're already behind. When you choose your focus, you're choosing that within the hours of 6 to 7 or within the hours of 7 to 8, this is what I'm going to do. And that helps you ward off anything that comes up or may distract you from your goal for that day. That small boundary changed how I showed up for everything else. Alternatively, when you've not dedicated these hours to anything in particular, you find yourself just reacting to whatever the days throw at you. And that's not the most valuable or efficient use of your time. Let's be very real. Intentionality feels uncomfortable at first. You have to say no to certain things that you always did because it made you feel useful, because you've realized that those things don't necessarily align with the person that you're trying to become. You have to disappoint people who were counting on you to show up for certain things that you now realize is just a waste of your time. And to be honest, sitting with yourself and getting honest with yourself about what you really want is a journey. It's a journey that feels uncomfortable, and sometimes you hit a wall where you feel blank and you're very unsure of what you even want from your life or what you're trying to become. But I'm going to tell you a secret. Once you stop running on everyone's clock, you realize that you have much more time than you thought you had. And once you create that time or create that space, trust me, your mind begins to expand. Your ideas begin to receive life because now there's time and space in your schedule for you to start to imagine, for you to start to dream, and for you to start to create this life that was always on the inside of you, just waiting for expression. You have to unlearn the belief that being available all the time means that you're valuable. So, yes, being intentional with your time might be uncomfortable, but what lies on the other side of that discomfort is peace. Real peace. Protecting your time is not selfish, it's stewardship. One of the Bible verses that come to my mind, even as I say that, is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. I'm just going to read it out from the New International Version. So, Paul speaking, he says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." Paul was emphasizing the need for us to live with purpose and wisdom, but most importantly, being discerning as to how we spend our time. By saying the days are evil, this just simply means that the world is filled with challenges. And so that makes it important for us to use our time and opportunities with great care. Because of how challenging the world is, we require wisdom to ensure that our time is being maximized for our benefits. The last thing I'm going to do in this video is to give you practical shifts that you can start today. I mean, today, like right after this video, that will put you in charge of how your days go. The first thing is what I call the 5-minute pause. That is no phone, no noise, honestly, not even prayer, just allowing myself ease into the day. While I do a little bit of stretching, I allow my mind to wander. I don't try to control what thoughts come into my head. I just allow myself honor those thoughts. Another practical shift that you can start using from today is scheduling. So, one thing that I've been doing in the morning is prioritizing the three things that I want to focus on for that day. Just three things that if by the end of the day I'm able to accomplish, then I can honestly say that it was a good day. But the most important thing about these three things is that they have to align with the priorities that I currently have for my life. So I schedule these three things as the first three things I do every single day, and I just let the rest of the activities or the things that I have today fill in right after. A third practical shift that you can use today is auditing your time to know where your time is leaking. Honestly, but not judgmentally. Look at how you spent your day to day, for instance. What did you do in the morning? What did you do at 12? What did you do at 3 p.m.? What did you do at 6? I don't want you to judge yourself, asking yourself, oh, where did all the time go? Or I was watching TV. No, no, no. That's not the purpose of this particular audit. This particular audit lets you know where your time is leaking so that you can still do the things that you enjoy, but just place a time limit on it so that you don't spend 2, 3 hours that could have been used pursuing the life that you want, watching TV. All these shifts that I've given you is not for the purpose of perfection. It's about direction. It's about becoming the managing director of your life and stating where your resources will be allocated. I actually think that being intentional with your time is like a quiet rebellion for our current culture that preaches that we must always be busy, but doesn't say much about being present. I want you, each and every one of you, to stop living your life on everybody else's timeline apart from yours. At the end, your inner self will thank you. If this message speaks to you, subscribe for more content around living with intention. And in the comments, I want you to tell me one part of your week or your day that you intend to reclaim this week. See you next week, Tuesday, for another layer of building a life with intention. Goodbye.